Try again. Can't preload player tail state at player 2. That is fine. Tail state needs an extension, so we put that in there. Okay, player 9. Okay. Yeah. Normally I wouldn't do like a massive refactor like this, but because the project is still very new, I felt comfortable. Like, I think there's only really like 5 major classes in this game so far, so value okay. Okay, what's happening here? The identifier chain links isn't declared. Chain links. Alright, yep. So we forgot to, when we moved this behavior, we forgot to define this. Okay, cool. So that's now just a simple array. And what are you complaining about, Mr. Yellow? Variable I is declared but never used. Okay, yep. Sweet. Alright, so it looks like our game is now running, but our tail is not correctly connecting to the player, and it feels like gravity is just a little bit too much for my propulsion, and I know why that is. So what we did is we actually moved our velocity processing into the frame process instead of the physics system. Not all of the velocity processing, so the part of the code that reads the keyboard events and then adjusts the propulsion based on the keyboard. We don't do that as part of the physics process, but that means that it's happening less often, I think. So, and in fact, I think we don't need to be running the physics process at that frame rate. How do we change that? So I think it's running at 60 FPS, but we certainly don't need that. Godot change physics frame rate. Physics FPS. Alright. I'm pretty sure it's I've seen it here, I just can't remember where it's set. So we're forcing the FPS to 15 just while we're debugging, because I don't want to just overload our machine while we're streaming. That's why the game will probably look a little bit choppy, but I think that's something we're just going to have to deal with. Okay, what else can we do here? So I don't think we need any pixel snap, we don't need that. we need to be thread safe because of we want to support the WebGL export. Flash batching, what does that mean? Regression testing at the old renderer. Okay, no, we don't care. Okay, disable half float. Okay. Alright, here we go. I think this is, yeah, there we go. That's it. Oh, what's that? Jitter fix. Fix to improve, especially on models where it is different. Okay. Body is only red when the project starts. There. Okay. What's this one? Enables. Alright, so let's bring this down to 30. So we're running the physics frame at twice the speed of the display, and then we definitely need some more velocity if we're processing it like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this to be player, and let's open up this player here. Okay, we want to detach the script. Do we? Yep. Detach this script, and it should actually be on this node here. So let's just find the player script. So we want the parent scenes to know as little as possible about, we'll have as little configuration as possible, only what they require, right? Okay. And let's just see what else is failing. Okay. Alright, where's that happening? Cascadia Mono. Alright, let's just find in folder for Cascadia Mono. Alright, let's change this. We did a sort of rename of all our files just to make sure that everything was hunky-dory. Okay, so that should be fixed. So one thing I do like about Godot is that they have this philosophy that a game should never crash. So if something does go like terribly wrong, the game isn't going to crash like unless something goes even more terribly wrong than terrible. But normally Godot will just sort of like log an error here, and then it'll sort of do its best to just work around the error, which I think is quite nice. Okay, node is never used in the function attached to. Okay. Chain link 9. Cool. I realize that the beginning of the stream isn't going to be very fun and interesting, but it's once we get all of this working again, then we can pick up where we left off. Oh yeah, I forgot to upgrade that velocity. Okay, so now we have the ship, so so the ship has a speed, and I think we want that to be quite high. And I'm actually just going to double the friction as well. So this is just going to make the ship a little bit easier to control. I know that in space there is technically no friction, so it's a bit of a lie, but okay. So the thing is, this game is going to be like a multiplayer game, and oh, okay. So it looks like our bubbles don't have the behavior we had, so they're not dying, and actually they don't even have their character displaying on themselves. But This definitely feels a lot slower and more purposeful, which I think is actually going to be more fun for multiplayer because when there is a bit of lag, we don't want it to be sort of too twitchy. I hate twitchy games, to be honest. I'm getting old. I can't play Call of Duty anymore. I don't want to either. Too stressful. Just want to like have some time. When I play a game, I want to have time to just think and make decisions instead of just trying to do everything on a split-second reaction. Okay, so what do we want to do? Okay, I might just re-enable our particles and see if that makes much of a difference. Performance. I think we're doing better with the performance. So I think the big thing is when we have these particles, the whole editor is updating at 4K resolution because I'm streaming at 4K, and that's definitely taking a toll, I think. Okay, so something's happening with these bubbles. Let's just have a look at the bubble and see how it's getting on, shall we? So if I bring up this level tutorial, we can see our meteors and our bubbles are here, and each bubble should have a character. So you can see this one has a D, and it spells out DRIFTER, Drifter, the name of the game. What I'm imagining is like the first tutorial level is just be like you can't beat the level until you spell the word drifter, and then you can get through the exit, and then we'll do a couple more puzzles to show players sort of the basic mechanics, and then once they finish those first few levels, then we'll throw them into the like multiplayer arena and expect them to sort of battle it out. So that's my plan. So that's why that's the tutorial level, just spell drifter to start off. For some reason our bubbles are not... Okay, so let's have a look. All of our bubbles, do they have their script? Okay, so I'm wondering if we instance I don't quite know. Okay. So that's a little bit odd. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the network. So the network node is what we're using to connect to our Elixir backend. And I think we can just do a pass here for now. In fact, what I could do is I could export, I think it's bool bar enabled, and let's just say equals false, right? And then if not enabled, pass, right? Or just return actually. Okay, so now our network is disabled by default, and then we'll be able to enable it per level, I guess. So I wonder if we'll figure that out. Okay, so you can see here now we can set our room, and we can turn the network on or off, right? So that's quite cool. And let me just check our stats quickly. Alright. So we've disabled the network while we're just focusing on building the tail functionality. And what I might do now is I'm just going to run our tests. In fact, no, I'm not going to run the tests yet because I know that they're going to fail spectacularly. And I don't think that's what we want to do. The stream. Okay, so let's just go through any errors we're seeing. We don't have a network anymore, so we're not going to get all that crap in the output. Okay, so we need to make sure that our pin joint that's connecting the tail is fixed, and we need to make sure that our bubbles are popping when we hit them, and so we can propel backwards, and we can propel forwards with up and down. Okay, so the errors we're getting are script error. Base begins with local is true continuing. Well, alright, I don't know what that means, but okay. Alright, so let's have a look at what errors we get. I thought we cleared that and fixed that. Okay, let's try again and just make sure we're not getting any additional errors. Okay, got one error. Why on earth is it still trying to load that? Okay. Connect. In object of type node, attempt to connect non-existent signal, player collision. Okay, that's cool. What is it? Player collision. I gotta remember these. What was it? F7? Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's just Mac. Alright, so command period and what's place command B, resort pause, control command Y. Okay, I don't really use that much. And that one is play custom scene. Alright, cool. So what errors were we seeing? So Cascadia Mono, I'm sure we just did a find and replace across the whole project for that. So the cool thing about Godot as well, one thing I really love about it, there it is, right there, is everything is just text, right? There's no real like binary formats that, I mean, obviously like your textures and your sounds and stuff are all going to be a binary format, but Godot itself like doesn't, as long as you save everything as a T-res or a T-scene, that stands for like text scene or text resource, then everything's, you know, like get diffable. It really just helps to know that if you screw something up, you know, there is a way to just edit the text by hand. In fact, that's how we dealt with an error in our previous stream. We just did everything by hand because it's all just text. Okay, so player collision. So I think that's coming from the ship. Oops. So our signal is player collision. Oh, I know what's happening here. Okay, so in the player, we connect. We're trying to connect from ourself instead of from the ship, right? So you find the object that you want, well, the object that sends the event. Then you call .connect on the sender, right? And then you define the signal name, the receiver, and the handle function, and I just remembered this technically should be called on ship player collision. Right. Something's eating the CPU again. I think it's just the heat. Okay. Got to save that. Let's just quit the project. Oh, actually go back to the project list and reload. Okay. I'm wondering if I should just run this display at a lower resolution while we're doing Godot development. What if we just do default? I guess that's going to be a little bigger, and that might work a little better. Okay. Okay, yeah, I like that a little better anyway. And then this needs to be resized. Oops. Looks like something is going very wrong. I think it's down to that those particles. Oh, I guess what we do is we just turn them off in the scene, right? And then they'll turn on. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, okay. Silly me. Let me make a note of that because I think that's a helpful tip to remember. Okay. Set. All right. Okay. Hopefully this feels better already. Okay. So yeah, we're still getting one error here. Is it still that font? Maybe we should just delete the font for now and then re-import or something? I don't know. Oh yeah, so we're in here, and then, sorry, inside the ship, this is the font in question, I believe. Ah, no, it's not. Well, let's see. Oops. And so I guess it'll be in no custom font. Okay, and then in the, oh, I know, yeah, okay, so that's why the bubbles aren't working. It's because we have the custom font on the bubbles. So let's jump into the bubble scene and just look at this label here. And under custom fonts, we should see a problem. And so what we'll do instead is just say a new dynamic font. And the font is going to equal load. And it's going to go GUI. And we will use this tres file. See, it does not. Oh. Oops. I guess that, sorry, that's expecting the TTF. Yep. Okay, so now if we save this scene, I think the bubbles hopefully will work. And then that will fix that final error, hopefully. Yep, okay, so we're seeing the letters in the bubbles. They're really tiny for some reason. Let's just increase that size. Let's zoom in here. Not that zoom in. Okay. So if we look at this label, we need it at least twice the size, right? Maybe even bigger than that. Cool. Now these are all placeholder graphics, of course, just while we get up and running. Okay, cool. So we want to get the D first. D. Oh yeah. It's so funny to bounce off these bubbles. Like, it's such a surprise. I'm just so used to running straight through them. Okay, so let's see how this is screwed up. We try. Cool. So, what is happening? Okay, we're not actually caring about the player at this point. We're actually just caring about the ship. So the ship do we use this anywhere? Nope. Alright, yeah, we don't need this anymore, so let's get rid of that. Want to become famous? Ah, you. Hello. Ben. I wonder if we could just make that on an on ready. But okay, we're not focusing on that just yet. Okay, so what's happening with the bubbles? Okay, so let's just print the collider each time. And maybe we can just do collider.name. and see if we're getting bubbles actually colliding. I mean, we must do because we're bouncing off them. Okay, so we've got bubble 5. So we're definitely colliding with the bubbles, right? And then on collide with player, I'm assuming the bubble has that still. So nope. We called it ship, yeah, because we're not colliding with the player anymore. So that is now ship. Okay, that makes sense. And otherwise we collide with the ship. And we should probably call this ship collision, right? Or even just collision. So it's yeah, I think collision because it's already on the ship object, so we don't need to add additional context to that. Okay, and so then the player object is going to be connecting to that collision now, like so, and that's going to make that, it's not going to fit on one line anyway, so let's just do something like that. Alright, cool. So I think now our ship should be able to pop bubbles again. Pop, there we go. And zoomy, 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 pop, there we go. Cool. And now, what else can we do? So for some reason, I'm not sure if this label, not that label, the player label doesn't seem to be updating. Let's have a look. On ship. Okay, let's call this on ship collision. And then there is no, that should be on ship collision. Okay, so we're not actually handling it. And then what we want to do is we want to update our tail state with the collision result. So the collision result contains whatever characters we should be adding to our tail, or maybe if we hit an enemy, the collision result will say destroy 2 of your bubbles, or pop 1 of your bubbles, or something like that. Then we remove redundant chain links. So let's say we hit an enemy and it says pop 1 of your bubbles, and so that means our tail state is going to have less letters in it, and then so we're going to iterate over the tail and just remove any chain links that are redundant. And then once we've done that, we go over and ensure that we have enough chain links, and we sort of just make sure they have the right characters on them as well. Alright, and now the other thing that I think we are not doing. Okay, so for some reason our joint has broken. I know why. I know exactly why. So I think when we renamed our resources, we forgot to update the joint. Oops. Okay. So we have the start link joint, which should be joining the ship to the start link. And you can see here, for some reason it is trying to connect to the parent, which is not correct at all. It should be, it's because the ship used to be called the player, and then we realized the player actually consists of a combination of objects, not just the ship, right? So that's why we did the rename, and that's caused a little bit of weirdness, but we fixed it now. Okay, so now that first chain link should be connected to our player again, and we can zoom around. Oh, and there we go. So our first chain link was created with the T on it. Now we just need to make sure that that chain link is connected to the end of the tail. So let's have a look at how we do that. So the way that the joints work in Godot, and this is something I ran into and made a mistake with, is that the joint and the two things you want to join have to be siblings, right? Or at the very least, I haven't tested this, but I think you could make them nested, but if they're nested, there can't be a transform, I think. Does that make sense? Who knows? Hopefully it makes sense. Okay, so just trying to think what's the best approach here. Okay. Okay, so let's have a think. So we just create chain link, new link, right? And then we updated the character, and then we added it to the scene. Now, I think what we want to do is we want to say new link. Ooh, what do we want to do? Okay, we want to figure out function last link, right? Oops. Still running JavaScript today. Okay, so we want to figure out what the last link is, and we're gonna implement the naivest solution first, right? And just put a to do. I like to do this in development, right? Is implement the most naive thing you can, and then build upon it. So if we say that the last link is always going to be the start link to begin with, right? So we can say that the new link, so we want to set the rotation of the new link to be equal to, let's put this in a variable target. Target link is equal to the last link, right? So basically target link is like, we're adding a new link on the chain, and who are we targeting? Well, obviously we're going to add it to the end of the chain. So, and then once we've added it, we just want to make sure that it's pointing the same way as the last link, right? So we can say that the new link's rotation is equal to the target link's rotation, right? Cool. And then we can say that the new link dot position is equal to, now this is going to be a little weird, but I think new link dot to local, the target link plus target link position, right? Dot global position, right? So basically what we do is, oh no, because they're all siblings. Yeah, so this is much easier now. So we don't even need to do that, do we? We just oops. Right? So we set the position to be a little bit like that, and now we just hold on. Okay, you know what I want to do? Okay, so we need to offset it relative to the rotation. So I think what we want to do is say link offset dot rotated by the target link rotation. So this probably seems a bit complicated, and I can understand why you wouldn't understand this. So first of all, we need to define a link offset, which needs to be a vector 2. And that's going to be a const, but I'm going to separate it from these consts because those are classes. If you're familiar with JavaScript, that's essentially how you do a require in Godot. So this isn't quite a require. This is how, I guess, in JavaScript this would be an actual const, and those up there would be requires. So I want to keep them sort of cognitively separate. So what we need is a link offset, and so this basically says what's the difference between, what's the distance we want those links to connect at, and I'm going to say it's a vector 2 with a 0 x value and a y value of about, if I remember rightly, 40 was what we were going with. So now let's just run through this line of code. Okay, so what are we saying here? So we're saying that when we create our new link, right, we want to target the last link of the chain, and then we want to set our rotation of the new link to the same as the last one, and then we want to update the position of the new link to match the last link, but we want to sort of offset it by about 40 pixels. However, that offset needs to be rotated around relative to the rotation of the target link. Right? I hope that makes sense. And I hope even more it works, because I would have explained that all for nothing and then looked foolish, but we'll see. I hope it works. That's pretty much how I understand this working. And then the final piece is we will need to create a new joint. So what will we do? We'll say pin joint 2d.new, right? And so we can say var. So once basically the first block here, in fact I'll comment this out so that we can see what's happening. So create the link, right? And create the link, add its letter, and attach to scene, right? And then here, position the link relative to the last. Position the new link relative to the last link in the chain, right? And then the next step here, because the thing is we don't want to create the joint until it's positioned correctly. So here we go, create a joint to pin the two links together, right? I think that makes a lot of sense. It does to me anyway. So the joint is a new pin joint, and it's complaining because we aren't using it yet. And what we need to do is say the joint dot node a. Okay. I think what we don't want to just use a plain old joint. What we want to do is we actually want to create a scene of the joint and define everything we can declaratively, and then we don't have to do it all in code. I think that would be the idiomatic way to do things. So let's go back to Godot and create a new scene, specifically for this chain. So we've got the chain link, the start link, the chain link, and the ship. And I guess we don't really need a directory for this because this is going to be a really simple scene. And what we're going to call this is a chain joint, right? And that's just going to be a text scene file. Oh no, we don't need to get the... Cool. Alright, so the root node is not going to be a 2D scene or any of that. It's going to be a joint 2D, pin joint 2D. Cool. And then because we've created a scene out of this node, we can now define its properties without worrying too much about the rest of the things. And what's interesting is we might be able to add graphics or perhaps like a special effect to these joints later. And we won't need to touch the code, which is good. The main thing I think here is that we want to ironically enable collisions by unticking. I think this should be renamed. I might suggest that for the next version of Godot. Okay. Alright, and so now what we want to do is we want to preload the chain joint in our code, right? And instantiate that instead. So I can say here, chain joint is equal to the preloaded resource at player / chain joint dot text scene. Right? What are you complaining about? Oh. Cool. So we've got this chain joint now loaded as a resource, and so now we can say the var joint is equal to chain joint dot instance. So we use instance to create an instance of a scene, and we use new to create an instance of a class. I can't remember the reason. The reason I think is that the scene still has a .new, but the instance has some additional stuff that comes with scenes that you won't get if you just call new. Wow, I wonder if my keyboard's sticking because I am missing out a lot of T's today. Okay, so we've created the joint, and now what we need to do is we need to dynamically assign the nodes. So node A is going to be the new link, right? And the joint dot node B is going to be the target link, right? And I think that might just work. I'm not too sure. Is there anything else we need to do here? I suppose we need... Okay, so our naive code will only get us to the first link. However, it'll be easy to implement this function completely, right? We just access yeah, okay, so what we will do here at the end, we'll say add the new link to our chain links. Alright. And so here we go, chain links dot push back the new link, and screw it, I think we can implement this here. So if chain links dot size is less than 1, return the start link. Otherwise, return chain links -1, right? Which is the Godot equivalent of last. The last one. Alright, so that code is not terrible. I think it reads quite clearly. Like, you can sort of see what all of this means, hopefully. Now let's see if it actually works. So I do find with Godot, it has an uncanny ability to just work instantly. Okay, pin joint to the... oh, I know why. Okay, so the one thing about joints here is we need to get the path. Get path. So for some reason you can't give it nodes, you have to give it paths. Alright, so let's try this again. Bonk. Okay. So okay, it looked like the positioning worked there. Oh, that didn't work, did it? No. Okay, so the first one got created. So let's have a look at the debugger and see what went wrong there. Three errors. Node not found. Pin joint 2D. Create chain link. Chain link 5. Node not found. Okay, do I need to... I'm a little bit confused. Okay, let's think this. Get node. Why are we getting node? Chain link. Okay, I think... oh, I know what's happening. So our chain link has its own code. And I don't think it needs any code anymore, does it? Just, okay, it needs that bit. And that bit. That's it. Alright, so just a little bit of old code lying around. But I think the code we just wrote is correct, kind of. Okay, so something is not quite working with the joint. And then if we... okay, so the reason why we see the first link, but not the second, is the second one is moving to the position of the first one. I'm quite sure. Okay, so something seems to be going wrong with this joint. And how would we go about that? So what I think we need to do... oh, yeah, so what we need to do is we just need to add the joint as a to the scene. And yep, that should have been obvious, but okay. So now let's have a look. Plunk. Well, that was odd. That is behaving quite weird, isn't it? Okay, so... That is odd. So is it command control Y? What's this one? Button do? Control command Y. Okay. So we've got this weird situation here. Well, I'm a little bit confused. How would we go about this? Well, let's just put a breakpoint at the end here and see what is really happening. Okay, so let's pick up the D for once, shall we? Okay, so open up this debugger here. Okay, so our index at 0, our new link is what? Is this rigid body at the chain link? Okay, so the new link is a chain link. The target link is start link. The joint. Everything is under the player, right? Okay. And joint 2D, and we've got chain link, start link. Maybe we should just disable the collision for now, just for sanity reasons. And the chain link is an array containing this chain link. Huh. Maybe, well, the first one was working, right? So if we go back to main, we're not getting any errors. Let's see. Maybe we need to make the link offset. Just trying to think. What we could do is make the chain link immune to gravity, and then that way we can at least verify that it's in the correct position. Oh, actually, does the chain link have its own code? It does, right? Alright, okay, so let's just make this immune to gravity, so we can just set the gravity scale to, this was just 0.1, so make it like really light. And in fact, it might make sense to do the same for the start link. So we want it to have a lot of mass, but not a lot of gravity, right? Oh, is that linked? Oh, I see. Okay, so we'll keep the mass at 1, and then we'll put the gravity scale at 0.1. So, alright. So let's see what happens. Probably need to step. How do we step? Continue. Okay, so there's something going wrong with this position. So it is relative. Okay, maybe it is this, we need to convert the positions to global and back. Okay, so let's just return here, because there's no point in carrying on until we verify that the earlier code works. In fact, that was my bad. I shouldn't have continued until I verified this section of code. Okay, so the rotation should be equal because they have the same parent. Ooh, you know what I quite like? I like the idea of grabbing this line and sticking it up here, right? And doing target link dot get parent dot add child. So that means that even if we move the link around in the future, then we don't need to worry about the joint getting broken. Okay. Okay, so we now know that they should be siblings. The rotation should be the same. Alright. You know what? Let's verify that the position is correct, right? Without the offset. Yep, okay, so that definitely started in the right position, okay? So now, something is worry about this offset. Huh. How are we doing this offset? Oh, I see. So in reality, we should be doing the rotation last, right? Yeah, so the thing is, yeah, okay, so that's the reason, I think, is that we're doing the rotation first, and therefore that offset is no longer vertical. That wouldn't explain how it got so so distant. Okay, I don't know. Let's just try this and see if it makes a difference. Okay, that seems to make quite a difference. Wow, it doesn't even work. Oh no, that... Okay, that actually seems to have updated, right? And it's odd that we're creating a whole lot of nodes each time. I need to put some constraints on this tail as well. That's really ridiculous. Okay. Leave me alone. Okay, so I think we need a little bit of softness on that joint to allow it to bounce back. Okay, so now everything's getting created at the right location. Well, the first one's getting created at the right location. And then we create the joint, right? Whoa. Okay, so it feels like we create the link at the correct position, but why is it flying away? Oh, I know why it's flying away. It's because we have to add the child afterwards. Okay, so let me just make a note here. I think that's what's going wrong, but let's see. Oops. Oh, what was the other thing? Okay, so position. Alrighty. Let's give that a go and see how we do. Oh no. How unfortunate. Okay, so they are definitely connected in some way, right? Because they are responding to the position and the rotation of the player. But what I don't understand is why are they so far away? Maybe our offset is just too much. What if we make it just 10? I mean, I don't see that being the issue, but that offset doesn't really seem to be making a difference. Okay. I might be getting the maths of this incorrect. So let's see if there's something in the docs or something. So one moment. Alright, so what would we search for? Let's say Godot create sibling relative position. How to make a transition? Create node relative position. What we could do is just print this stuff out and see. So that's what the debugger would do. Probably just okay, so let's put a breakpoint here, and let's say that var relative offset is equal to that, right? So then we'll be able to view it when we break. And then this part here is the relative offset, and then a new line. I mean, yeah. Oh, no, that should kind of work, right? Alright, let's just run this again with the breakpoint. And see what we get. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Bonk. Okay. So so what are we looking at? The relative offset is 9. Okay. So if we have a look at this, Okay, this rotated is not working. Alright, that's not. Because what would we expect that relative offset to be? What is that? Okay, so in this, oh yeah, okay, so that is actually correct. Right, because this the start length is going to be like it's almost vertical, and so we're saying it's about 10 pixels, and in fact we can actually tell for sure what that should be if we grab the start length scene and zoom in here. So this backlink position is 85. Okay, so we know it should be about 85, this offset. And once we get this offset working, we can get rid of the rest of the stuff. Okay, so that offset seems to be correct. Okay, so then that means that the only real issue here is the joint. So maybe what we do is just create a pin joint 2D instead of the scene. I don't know if that's going to make a difference at all. Here we go. Okay. So in this scenario, it looks like we are almost vertical again. Makes sense. And the joint, for some reason, the joint position. Oh, oh dear, that's really obvious. Okay, I'll show you why. So we just need to say that the joint position here, actually here. So we can just maybe just grab this and put this in a variable as well, and then we'll say joint position is equal to that. So we put the new link position equal to the joint position, and then we also say the joint position is also the joint position, right? So basically we had both nodes in the correct position, and then we were linking them around the joint at the coordinates 0, 0, and that's why we got that weird spinning effect. Okay. So joint dot. Okay, so let's get rid of that breakpoint and see if we have some luck. Okay, that looked like it worked for a second and then it went crazy. So weird. I wonder if we just add some softness to that joint. We've disabled that bias. Yeah, I don't want us to have a lot of bias. So let's just put like 0.5 maybe, and then the softness can be like an 8, about halfway, or say about 4 then. Okay. Oh, I know what's happening. Okay. So what we need to do is, before we update the rotation, I believe we need to create the joint. Possibly. Because I think that by screwing with that rotation, we are changing. No. It definitely gets created in the right place. So, and this joint here on the player is working, right? Start link joint is working. So should we have a look at that? Alright, so I don't think we need this backlink position anymore. I think we'd rather do that in code. Huh. Suspicious. Inside the player, we've got our ship, our start link, our start link point, whose position is at the midpoint between the two, right? In fact, I might move that slightly down to about 40, 44. Oh. Huh. No, so the softness is 0 and the bias is 0. I wonder if there's an example of just like a Godot joint chain. Oh shit, this guy's done like something so similar to me. Okay. Dampening, yeah, that makes sense. We can start with that. Okay, so that linear dampening, we'll just say about 4 and angular about 4, and then our chain joint we can do some, not our chain joint, our chain link we can do a little bit of dampening as well. Cool. I think we're gonna have to figure out what we are. Okay, yeah, let's do that as. About this contact monitor. We'll see. Yeah, so that at least should make it like a little less crazy. So that is very odd. So I'm not really sure where to go from here then. How do we debug this? Should we read through here? Yeah, so this is almost exactly what we want. So how are we doing? The loop position is... Yeah, let's just open this and have a look at how... Might do that off stream and just have a look at what this guy's done here and figure out what we're doing differently. So essentially he's looping over stuff, right? So the player get no, so the chain start is get no chain start. Okay, so he is actually putting those as children. The child is head loop. Parent, instance of loop. Add pin. So we're instancing the pin, setting the path. What? So here we're not even changing the... He's not even changing the position of the pin. Huh. Have a look at what he's saying. Physics. How does the universe manage to get the physics engine right? Okay. Well, you know, we could probably just open this project and have a look. So this chain demo. Import. Okay. So we have the boot. And is that it? Okay, so his code is actually just that, right? Hold on, I need to update my editor somehow. Hold on. So let's say Godot, Mac, Visual Studio Code Editor Integration. Maybe I think what I did wrong was when I put the text editor external. I think it should just be the app instead of the Electron binary. And now let's have a look if I do this. Nope. Path to your, I mean that's good. Interesting. Go tools. Do I have that installed? Alright, well I'm not going to do that now. Really frustrating. Okay, we're gonna just turn off the external editor. It just doesn't seem to work. Even though we've done think what it said to do. Okay, so now if we open up this boat script here, oh, I see. So this is what he's done. And it's inside here. So inside the boat, there's very little going on the boat. In the chain, there's very little going on the chain as well. So where's all the code happening? Boat. Okay. Pin sprite. Global rotation. Node B upload with angle to point. Is that the trick to it? Confused. Alright, so the player is the boat. Beginning of the chain, you get. So this is how I originally organized the scene, but it just doesn't seem to work. This is the offset, so yeah, the thing is so he creates the offset immediately, right? So it's all vertical to begin with. I suppose we could just do that and then hide the nodes. No, that would be weird. That would just be weird. Okay. Child and group. Okay, that's interesting that they're putting an end group there. Root position. Or oh, okay. So like each link is actually a child. Okay, well, it is getting pretty late, and how long have we been streaming? Coming up 2 hours. Okay, well, I'm going to have a look at this and have a play around, and then we'll try and figure out how we do this. So let's just think, when he's adding the pin, the parent is chain start. Okay, so yeah, he's going one level deep. You know what? Screw it, let's do it now. I got time. Don't know about you guys. Let's try and create the chain links as children of the previous link. So, and then I think if that's the case, so we add the loop, add the pin, add the loop, add the pin, and then we create that final. Okay, that's what he does at the end. Now, the pin. Parent or child. Okay. Yeah, and then the offset doesn't need to be rotated at all, if that's the case. Position is... I don't understand this global position though. But okay. These setting... Okay, let me just make a note of this. And then we can leave this project behind. Okay, well I'm obviously... See, I read all the... Well, I thought I read all the docs on the pin joint. Maybe I missed something. Because I wasn't aware that you needed to have a child relationship. Okay, let's have a look. Pin joint 2D. Joint. Oh, this is cool. This is useful. Alright. Yeah, this is exactly what we want. So they're creating parent-child relationships. Okay, maybe when I first did that, I was doing something wrong. We are going to create the loop as a rigid body because we want to obey the laws of physics and not be controlled by us. Yep, that makes sense. You've seen... Let's have a look. Okay. I don't know why he's putting the sprite as a child of collision shape. That seems wrong. Okay. As a try to keep it separate from the chain. Root node is no node. Okay. Yes, okay. Yeah, he had the same opinion here. That's cool. Transcript build chain. Okay, here we go. I feel like these images are tiny, but maybe it's just because it's on 4K monitor. Function, yeah. So the parent is the anchor, right? We add a loop. Parent, add the link, and then we. Yeah, so he's doing it the same way. Okay, maybe that was an assumption I did incorrectly. I made incorrectly, yeah. Okay. And then we need to rotate. Angle, position, angle to point. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to update our script for creating those links, which is in the player. In fact, we can do that. We probably want to do that in the studio. Okay, so what does that mean? So we get the target link, right, which is the last link in the chain. And we create a new link. We set the character. And then instead of getting the parent of the target link, we add the child directly. At this point, we don't need to do a relative offset. And in fact, we just say that the new link position is equal to the link offset, right? Because we're just going to be relative to our parent. Okay, yeah, okay. I see how this makes things a lot easier doing it this way. I just thought the joints in Godot just didn't function at all unless everything was. Yeah, I better cut all of that crap that I said at the beginning of the episode out because I'm going to be misleading people otherwise. Okay, so we create a new link, set character, add it to our as a child of the last link in the chain. The position is simply the offset, which is about 85 pixels south of origin. And then we create a joint. And should we add it? I guess we add it to the parent, right? let's have a look at what this guy did. So when he creates the joint, yeah, he adds the joint parent. Alright then. Oops, that's target link. Target link. Add child. We don't need to rotate. And then we just add the new link there. Alright. And I guess we can keep the joint at position 0 as well. The origin of the parent, right? I think. Okay, so it looks like that is almost correct, but it's not linking. It's not linking the offset's not working. But I think I know why the offset's not working. It's because the joint position has to be I'm sure there's a shortcut for these things. No? Sorry. So the joint position has to be at the offset as well, right? Joint dot position is equal to link offset as well. Oh. It's going to feel good to figure this one out. This was a bit of a brain scratcher. Okay, cool. And now we've just got the chain, the letters around the wrong way, but okay, that's not particularly So it doesn't look like the chain is following the offset, but it's definitely looking better, right? Okay, so what would the offset be? What's happening here? You know what I might do is I might visualize these joints. I told you it'd come in handy to have this joint as a scene. Okay, so how can we visualize the joint? Maybe we can actually do a bit of a get an asset. We have a look at the assets we already have. Let's have a look. So what have we got in here? Something that looks a little bit like a link. Probably got to be grayish. Oh, that kind of looks like a link, doesn't it? Although a bit red. Oh, that does as well. How big is that? Too big. That looks like a link. Yeah, okay. Grab that. And stick that in our project. The player. The chain joint is here, so put that there and we'll call this chain joint. Cool. And now what we can do is go back to Godot, throw a sprite in here. Okay, and then what we want to do is just find this little chain joint and drag it onto the texture of the sprite. Okay, and I think that'll be enough for us to visualize these joints. And what I'm going to do, in fact, is I'm going to make that offset like ridiculously, maybe not ridiculously large, let's maybe just say 160, so it's like twice as big, and so we can exaggerate that difference and see if we can visualize what's happening here. Plonk. Okay. Aha. So that's a bit weird, isn't it? So maybe that's why he said in his code he was setting the child position to the parent dot global position plus offset. Parent target length. Right. There we go. Okay, so now we just have to reduce that distance a little bit. Okay, so the first one is working, but the other ones are not. Oh, here we go. Huh. Okay, and our chain's getting stuck. That's fine. Interesting. Okay. So if we bring that back to like a realistic 80, then maybe we'll be able to visualize that. Okay, so that cool. So this is looking pretty good. I might just flip that letter over. I don't know why it's connecting upside down. Maybe if we make that like a -80, does that make a difference? Is it pinning it the wrong way around? No. Although... Okay, so 80, yes, it's definitely going in the wrong direction if we do it that way. So, probably could even be like a 40, right? Maybe not. So that's weird that it makes such a difference. We're disabling the collisions. Maybe if we just bring the softness like right down. And the bias right down as well. So right up. 0.9. So it goes crazy for a second there, and I feel like that's something to do with this position. I think it's not supposed to be the global position, I think it's supposed to be just that. And that's essentially what we had originally, right? Okay, so there's a little bit of a spasm there, but it wasn't as bad as before. Okay, and now they're still just connecting the start link. But that's feeling quite good, isn't it? Like, we just need to make sure that the chain links are linking to each other. And then we've basically got our chain done. Let me just update this label and change the rotation 180. I mean, it's pretty cheap. I don't know why it's rendering that way, but okay, so we don't need a link position anymore. That was, yeah, we're using the offset instead. And then here, you can just sort of put it in like that, I guess. Sweet. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say here, if chain links dot size is greater than 3, then breakpoint, yeah, and then hopefully we'll be able to have a poke around and see what situation is occurring with all of these chains incorrectly positioned. The first one's correct, but its initial position is now off a bit. Okay, and we need to bring the T down, but I'll do that later. I. Okay, so there's another spasm, isn't there? And then now that spasm we can easily fix by just getting the initial position correct. Okay, and now we have our breakpoint. So, what do we expect to see? Well, I expect to see a start link, right? And I expect that start link to have some children. I don't suppose I can see. We've got our chain links. So the first chain link, right? Its path we expect it to be start link, chain link. And then this next one, we expect this path to be start link, chain link, chain link. Yeah. And this one, start link, chain link, chain link, chain link. Okay, cool. Alright. So my gut feeling is that we've just used start link where we shouldn't be, perhaps. Huh. So it added. Okay, so I'm just gonna print some stuff here. So here we say that the new link position by default. So what we expect that to be is 0, 0, right? So I guess I'm not entirely familiar with how Godot does this sort of thing. And in the target link position, we expect that to be roughly something like that 80, 0, 80, right? Position, and then the joint position seems to be correct. In fact, I feel like we just do the link offset here, surely. And then target link. Maybe we set position after we've added the child. Or wait, no, the other way around. Because then that creates that weird jump, I believe. Alright, let's try that one. How do you mean? Doesn't Godot already deploy games as a binary? Yes, Godot does deploy games as a binary. Oh, what am I? Where's Electron? I don't see Electron anywhere. Oh, yep, sorry. That should be Alexa. Just updated it. Yeah, so what we're doing is we're building the game binary in Godot, and then we're going to be using, or we are using, Alexa Phoenix to provide our multiplayer server. And I do know that Godot provides its own multiplayer servers, but it's sort of like a peer-to-peer system. It works! Oh my god, I love it. Alright, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. It's all worth it, guys. Yeah, so I meant to say Elixir in the title. I apologize. But hello, BitQuest Dev. I've heard of. I think I've heard of you. Can you remind me what is BitQuest, like a Twitch game or something? No, BitQuest. Do you have a YouTube channel? I think I've seen your YouTube channel. Okay, so now I'm going to just go back to the... Oh. maybe you get really famous in the future, and that's what I'm plugging into. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to flip that character back the right way around. You know they say 2 wrongs don't make a right, and I think I probably should listen to that when I tried to flip that round, because I knew it wasn't correct, but I just wanted it to work anyway. According to Bo. Is that a YouTube channel or something? You've got like a blog or something, according to Bo? Okay, so now what do we do? It's really funny because I swear to God this is how I tried to build this originally and it wasn't working. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we just need to enable the collisions between the chains, right? So that means going into our chain joint scene and just disabling the disable collision, and then going into our start link scene and our ship scene. Let's call this ship and be consistent. No, wait, what? Sorry, the player scene. Yep, okay. So this start link, we need to make sure... Sorry, start link joint. Yep, okay, so that's enabled. Alrighty then. Plonk. Alright. And now there's a little bit of weirdness here. It seems like the angular dampening we added to this chain is maybe a little bit too much. And I think we need to re-enable... No. Okay, so let's go back and make sure our angular dampening is back to normal. So that means grabbing this here and maybe just setting this to like 0.1. Or maybe let's just 0.1. And going back down to the chain joint and making sure that, not the chain joint, chain link, and making sure that that has a, not that one. Oh my god, what? I'm getting lost. Yeah, the chain link. Angular velocity of 0.1. So angular dampening of 0.1 and linear dampening of 0.1. Okay. So I think this should enable that chain to just move around a little more freely, and it will stop it getting all stuck. Okay. Oh. I guess what we want is some form of gravity. Wow. This is Oh yeah, we removed the mass from the gravity scale. Maybe we want to do that as well. So put that back and put it back on the start length as well. So I think the next thing we need to do is we need to figure out how to apply that like drag. Oh no, that seems to be working alright. Not quite. Okay, so the nodes are sort of connecting correctly, but okay, we definitely need more dampening. So that angular dampening is going to be important, I think. So let's put that back up to 4, maybe like a 2. Forces. I kind of feel like we should just maybe apply small force. Like push it, so like if we imagine that the ship is propelling, right? And I wonder if we just make the chain links like really dampen and no. I don't know if I'm doing something crazy. You know what? I find that like it's by doing some crazy stuff and applying things that you wouldn't normally you think are unsafe. Sometimes you come up with some new gameplay mechanics using this. This is getting weirdly sexual. I don't know if you feel that. I might have to choose another sprite for the chain because it feels way too phallic right now. Oh, we got our breakpoint. Okay. Interesting. Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I think by putting an applied force here, it makes sense. And then one more thing that I forgot to add is I'm going to go into our project settings and set up a physics layer for our chain. So the first one is the player, the second one is other players, environment collectibles, and then I guess we'll say player chain, and here we will say the other players chains, right? Cool. And now we just want to make sure that all of our physics objects are on the correct layers and listening for the correct collisions. So we are now going to do what? Okay, we can start with this chain link. So we have the rigid body to be connected, and we go to collision here and we say, which layer is this in? It's in 6. Okay, part of the 6th layer, and this can collide with the player, other players. I wonder I mean, we could maybe even just not make it a physics object at all. Okay, I think it's fine. Okay, it's not going to collide. It's never going to collide with collectible, and it is going to collide with other nodes in the chain, right? Cool. What is this? And then going back to the start link, let's just make sure our collisions is correctly set up. Okay, so it is now in the player chain layer, and it is going to collide with players, other players, environment, not collectibles, and player other links. Cool. And let's see if this applying the force makes a difference. Yep. Is it? Kind of. So I guess we kind of want to we are getting some weird behavior now. I don't know if that's because of the torque, sorry, the applied force. Okay, well, it is getting pretty late. I might just do a quick scan through. I think this is definitely a step in the right direction. Although, yeah, there's something weird about the angular. Maybe we just get rid of all the dampening altogether. Have a look. Okay, what is this bias? We could make it really like springy, right? Really springy and really soft. So the thing is, I think because these things are children, they're not experiencing the forces of their parent. Oh, I know what we need. We just need an anchor, don't we? And that means, okay, I think I know what I'm going to do here. Although, maybe it's too late. So I think what we need is we just need to create an anchor node, which is not a child, right? Okay, that's already feeling a bit better though, isn't it? But the thing is, the reason why that one's floating about is it has no force pulling in the opposite direction, right? And that's why it feels so weird. But it's fine, like the chain is getting built correctly. And having that extra softness even is perhaps not too bad. Like, it is kind of a bit floaty, but we probably can do some sort of like particle effect or shader effects that sort of stop that from feeling crap. But I'm already feeling, yeah, okay, this is definitely what we want. And then we just need an anchor, and then we'll be sweet, right? And as long as we don't create the nodes so that they collide with stuff. Okay. I mean, alternatively, right? Just think about it this way. We could create these chain links as like a flocking algorithm that sort of just flock behind the player. Okay, hold on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just turn off what okay, so let's maybe make this at like 0.5, right? Because it did feel a little too floaty behind the player. Okay. Bonk. Bonk. It's interesting, like, alright, I like this. Fantastic. It's still, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch that sprite around, the one on my ass, and that's going to be the tail, because it feels more like a tail. And that will be the anchor, right? Bit glitchy, isn't it? Cool. Alright, but I think that's a fantastic place to commit and take a break. So let's open up source tree and see what we've done tonight. Yeah, okay. So let's have a look. So I might just collect everything we've got from the refactor. Because all of this stuff is pretty much just refactors. Yeah. It's not related to the chain. This is all related to the chain though. Yeah. That's a refactor. Cool. So we'll just say this commit is refactors and fixes, right? And then here we go. All of this is implement letter chain. And I'm going to push that up. In fact, no, I'm going to reset master to this commit. And push that up. Cool, so we now have an up-to-date master branch, and we can delete both those branches. And everything we do from here is now going to be relatively clean, I think. Absolutely awesome. Cool. All right. Cool. So this evening we have managed to get the basic letter chain working. We still need to sort of anchor the end of the chain so that the chain sort of like has drag. Right now there's no drag to it, so it does feel a little bit off. We'll fix that up. I'm just trying to think, what will the next thing we do be? I guess the next thing we'll do is implement some sort of shooting mechanic, and then also the invert mechanic. So the invert mechanic is essentially the way that you can reverse your message back and forth, and the shoot mechanic essentially pops the first bubble off your message. So by using those two mechanics, you can essentially like edit your message in different ways, and the way that you edit those messages can, we probably can turn those into puzzles in the game. Then I guess we'll just implement a simple tutorial level, and then, I want to get a randomly generated map builder in there, which we'll be building that in Elixir, not in Godot, because the server needs to generate the level, not the client. And then we will start adding the multiplayer functionality. So that's sort of the rough plan. Tomorrow is Friday, so we will be building whatever the hell we want. Mondays and Wednesdays, we do app development. Our current project is called CY. It's a combination of a CLI tool and a markdown editor built in Electron. And the tool is all about writing sort of markdown notes and then instantly publishing them to multiple social media platforms, right? So, for instance, if I go live streaming, sometimes I want to post to Twitter, Facebook pages, Hacker News, and a couple of subreddits, right? And that's really time consuming. So I want to write a quick little note, a tweet, in markdown format, click send, and choose a few different destinations, and I want to just send that off to the internet and be able to do that. So that's the other project we're working on. That's app development. That happens on Mondays and Wednesdays. Tuesdays and Thursdays we do game development, which was why we're doing this today. And Fridays we do whatever the hell we want, but honestly it's probably going to be game development because that's the most fun, but we'll see. Don't forget to give us a follow. There is a YouTube channel where the highlights of the stream will be posted, as well as broken down video tutorials, sort of bite-sized things. We have a Discord channel, so if you are an application or games developer and you want help and advice, post in there. And I know that the other people in there are willing to help, and I will do my best to help you if you get stuck anywhere. And if you've got an interesting problem, we can always look at doing it on a Friday or on stream. What else? Yeah, and if you want notifications for when we're going live and streaming, don't forget to follow on Twitter. And also, project summaries and source code will be available on sedcat.com or commune at GitHub. So check that out. Cool. So as always, I would like to tell you to take it very, very easy, and I hope you have an amazing evening. I've really enjoyed building this little game in Godot, and I think I've made some good progress, and it's feeling good. It's feeling good. I'm looking forward to jumping in with some other people and shooting bubbles at them. I think it'll be fun. Cool. So take it easy, and ciao.